Dadhood. Modern Dadhood podcast.
Hey man, let's make an episode of Modern Dadhood.
Let's do it.
All right, you want to introduce the show?
This is Modern Dadhood, an ongoing conversation about the joys, challenges, and general insanity of being a dad
in
this moment.
That was obnoxious, wasn't it?
That was a little obnoxious. Sincerest apologies to the listeners. My name is Mark Checkett. I am a dad. I have twin boys who are 6.5 years old, both in first grade. And you, sir?
My name's Adam Flaherty, and I am a dad to two young ladies who are 7.5 and 10.5. And every time I say it, it makes me feel older. But that's fine. This is not about me.
It's a little bit about you. You know?
Well, I mean, I'm in service to others.
Sure. But don't forget about yourself, man. Don't always put yourself last, okay?
First of all, we should probably do the quick formalities about the show, right?
That's fine.
Thank you, listeners, for being here with us.
That's it.
Check out all of our back catalog of episodes, some really great content, conversations with inspiring dads of all walks of life.
And where can they find that back catalog? Where can they go and find that?
Well, moderndadhood.com is the easy place, but anywhere podcasts can be found. Just search Modern Dadhood and go ahead and subscribe to the show. And if you're feeling generous, leave us a rating and a review, especially on Apple Podcasts. That seems to hold some weight, but check us out anywhere you listen.
Tell a friend about the show, for crying out loud.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Would you?
Mark and I, we are not fatherhood experts. We are two people who enjoy the role of being dad, and we like to bring guests on who can maybe enlighten us a little bit and inspire us and teach us and goof with us, and that's kind of what the show's about.
At the very least, make us feel not so alone in the journey that is fatherhood.
The guest for today's episode, and I haven't really told you much about this.
I don't know the first thing about this episode. So listeners, I'm with you on this one.
Well, we've both been pretty busy with lots of other stuff lately. And there's a friend who I've been wanting to interview for a long time. And he's an old friend, but somebody I haven't seen in person in many years. His name's Ryan O'Connell. And he's a girl dad like I am. His daughters are similar in age. But he and his wife, like you, Mark, like you and Jamie, had to go through the IVF process for both of their daughters.
Okay.
And also, both of their daughters were born through surrogates or with the support of surrogates.
Oh, wow.
Which is a pretty fascinating thing to me. And you'll hear when I get into the chat with Ryan, which we'll play back shortly, that I knew very little about it. And so I was asking some pretty naive questions about it.
I feel like I'm in a similar boat to you, though. I don't know if I could tell you too terribly much about surrogacy. Can I ask a naive, maybe dumb question?
I don't know that I have the authority to speak confidently on it, but go for it. Well, I'll do my best.
Maybe we'll just find this out in the interview. But is it Ryan's wife's egg and Ryan's sperm though?
I don't know that I'm the person to talk about another man's sperm, especially somebody that I know.
Okay,
but yes, that's exactly what it is. So you guys went through the IVF process. So
yes.
a lot of it is very similar to what you went through in terms of the retrieval process and then mashing them together and seeing what sticks.
I'm not quite sure if it's mashing that they do, but yeah.
Isn't that what the machine's called? The
masher.
The masher.
Yeah.
But then rather than, I guess, implanting it back into your wife, it's being implanted into another person whose reproductive system is healthy and they're able to carry that through to birth.
What an amazing thing.
So, yeah, fascinating. I loved learning about it, and Ryan was totally an open book, and he's also just a great dude, and we shared a lot of laughs too. how's school going? We're a few weeks into school, like all the craziness. Are the boys doing extracurricular activities? Are you guys going nuts, or is it nice to kind of be in the groove of something? Tell me about it.
It is kind of nice to get back into the groove. Although, we do camp all year, so there's kind of a groove there. But during the transition period, you get out of the groove. So we're finally getting back into it. Yeah. I think both the boys are really enjoying themselves. I got a huge kick out of something the other day because they're only in first grade. I don't expect too much in terms of like the academic side of things. But my son the other night at the dinner table, just remembered. He was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to have a math test tomorrow." And my wife and I were like, "What? You have that in first grade?" And we started to sort of pepper him with questions because I thought it was exciting. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And he was a little nervous about it and questioning whether he was going to do all right. But we were asking about what does the test entail, and he couldn't really answer that, so we couldn't get a whole lot out of him. But then the next morning when I was leaving the driveway to go to work, I yelled out, I said, "Good luck on the math test." And it just tickled me on the inside to be able to like say something like that now to my kids. Did
you find out later what the test was all about?
No.
You never asked. Don't ask, don't tell, because he went in underprepared, so he can't have performed.
This is true. Well. Yeah, no, this was just yesterday, and it's how hectic things are. We haven't gotten around to it yet, but just the whole notion of the whole thing has really, really tickled me. Yeah, I think
like I said, it didn't traumatize him anyway, right? Because then he would have come home and made a big thing of it.
This is true. This is true. You said extracurricular activities. Both boys are in soccer as well, which is very exciting. For about 3 seconds, I entertained the notion of coaching, of helping coach. I would have been the assistant coach. I ultimately decided against it because I just have too much on my plate and I don't want to spread myself too thin. But then I went to the first practice and I was sitting there on the sidelines and I was sort of thinking to myself, like,
should have done it.
Damn, I should have done it.
Yeah, but it probably would have been a lot. It probably would have been a bigger commitment than you expected to.
Yeah, at this moment, I made the right decision. But I will say it's so fun to watch these kids just run around and chase a ball and fall over and lose their shoes and complain about being hungry and tired and thirsty. It's a riot.
Well, and it's nice just to like hang out outside with nothing to do, right? Except for just either watch them or be social with other people if you want to.
Yeah. Yes. It's a nice change of scenery, change of pace for sure. What about you? What about you kids?
Well, school's going great for both. So that's it's second grade and fifth grade. And where we live, fifth grade is middle school, which is kind of mind blowing. But
they take the bus. They both take the bus.
My younger daughter still takes the bus. She always has. My older, so we're in walking distance to our middle school. So my older daughter now walks to school.
That's special.
We had to get her a phone.
Oh my!
Which is like a separate conversation, but the short version is, we're not ready to open that door to a fully operational smartphone, but we did need to give her a phone because there's, Sarah and I both are kind of hybrid in our work schedules, so there are times when she gets out of school much earlier than her younger sister now, and she walks home and nobody's going to be here. So she's very proud to have a house key and be responsible for that. But we had to get her a phone so she could let us know when she's, when she's home, and we can just let her know when we will be home. But we ended up getting her a flip phone, which has, very limited capabilities, but she's psyched about it. And I know that the excitement of the flip phone will wear off pretty quickly. But it's weird to be at that stage where you need to give your kid a tool like that.
These are big changes going on in the Flaherty household.
Yep. Very big. But school's going great. They have been doing dance classes their whole lives. And now it's like almost every night of the week they have dance stuff going on. And so unlike a soccer thing where it's like nice to stand outside in the late summer, early fall weather, dance is just like basically shuttling them back and forth from the studio to the house. But but it's good. It's good exercise. They love it. Good for them to move their bodies. It's good, mentally, and they're excellent dancers. Well, all right, man. I think we should transition right into my conversation with my old pal, Ryan O'Connell.
Roll tape.
Ryan O'Connell is an event manager who puts on large-scale events. He's the most consistent blogger I've ever known, writing about everything from 90s music to the best throwback, guilty pleasure foods that you get to enjoy again when you become a dad. His family lives in New Jersey, and his 2 daughters are 9 and 4. Ryan, we've known each other for a long time, but we haven't caught up in literally years. So I'm really excited for this. Thanks for making time.
Oh, no problem, man. I was actually trying to think about the last time we saw each other, and I think it was in Portland in like 2008 or 2007. Like, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I will say you look exactly the same.
Thank you.
And I definitely don't. But that's all right.
You have the same gist, man. I still get the Adam Flaherty-ness.
Oh, good. My gist hasn't faded y's
No, it's still present.
How's is dad life?
It's good, man. I think like the way I describe it is like the highs are high and the lows are low.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of just how I just see it. It's like, things are awesome. Things get a little bit chaotic at times, but it's all good, man. Being a dad's fun.
Fully agree. So 9 and 4. So my girls are 10 and 7. So they've got to be into a lot of the same things.
How much Taylor Swift do you listen to?
Oh, dude. Taylor Swift basically owns my life right now.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, the music thing is, for the most part, I don't really mind it. Because we went through the hardcore like Disney phase, like the Frozen phase and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually, and then I'm like, you're like rationalizing. You're like, I don't mind the Moana music because that's actually not that bad.
Right.
But like now it's like, okay, fine. And like now I find myself like, oh, there's actually some Taylor Swift songs I like. Like, we're going to listen to Love Story. I can get down with that. That's great. I think part of it is like, as someone who like, I grew up listening to so much music growing up and like so much of it meant so much to me that it's then dope when you're driving around. Like I can hear both girls singing along.
Yeah.
It's like, I like that part. Like there was one day where like Emily, my oldest, was like reading lyrics on like Spotify.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so cool. Cause like, I'm sure you can attest to this. Like growing up, it was like CD books were like Bibles to us.
Mm-hmm.
I just devoured them and they don't have those anymore. And so like for her, just like reading lyrics, I thought was so cool. So it's like, you want to get into it. That's fine. I can zone out and ignore things if I need to.
There's songs that my girls are into that I will go, oh, like this sounds a lot like whatever this 90s or early 2000s artist was. Like this person probably was influenced by this person. Like, let's listen to this song next. I'm just curious if you like it. And I feel like they won't like it by default just because it's something that I put on.
Yeah, it's that built-in
which
dad
is so
protest.
disappointing.
It's that built-in dad protest. Like, oh no, this is terrible.
So I want to pivot a little bit and ask, you've written some really powerful stories about the births of both of your daughters, and we can link to your blog in the episode notes for parents listening. But I know that your journey to becoming a dad took a lot of effort, I guess you could say, and that's true of both of your kids, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So I wonder if you can maybe take us back to 2013, 2014-ish. You and your wife were married. Did you have a vision for what starting a family would look like for you guys?
We did, because when we were dating, we had a conversation about how it was going to be different for us. Mm-hmm. Like we weren't going to be able to have kids the normal way, which honestly, I was like, that's fine. Cause I was just like in love with Kim, and I was like my wife, and I was like, that's cool. I want to be with you. That's step one. Everything else is step two afterwards. But we also knew that we were going to have to go, because we were going to try to go the surrogacy route, to use surrogate. Mm-hmm. And we knew we had to get cracking on that pretty soon. So, you know, we got married and it was like, cool. We just got our house and everything. And then we knew that like, this is where we're going to go forward. And a lot of that was like doing research and figuring out what that going forward means. Because it's one thing to say like, oh, we're going to use a surrogate. I don't know how to do that.
Right. Where do you even start?
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, you get these resources, and then we were very fortunate. We got linked up with an agency here in New Jersey that connects people with surrogates, and we just kind of went down that road. But it definitely, we knew going into it that our journey was going to be different.
I'm super curious about the surrogate topic. And admittedly, it's something like I'm pretty naive to.
Cool.
And I wonder, like, so you said there's an agency that will connect couples or, you know, or mothers to be with people who are willing to carry a child.
Yeah.
What types of attributes are you looking for in a person?
That was a very good question.
I guess maybe the better question is like, how did you select the people who were going to carry your daughters?
Yes.
And what sort of solidified that this is the right person?
I think you get some candidates like given to you. So basically, like, if this woman is interested in being a surrogate, she would link up with this agency who would kind of like vet her and everything like that, and basically create a file for her. And it's almost like online dating in the crudest way of explaining it. It's like, so, okay, you get these files and you look at this file of like, you know, so-and-so, and you're like, okay, you see where they live. And the living thing is the big thing, because so many states, like, so both of our girls were born in Florida, because their laws are very amenable to surrogacy. Whereas some states, there's like a process of like, oh, actually the surrogate can take the kid back. It gets really dicey. Ooh. Yeah. So, but Florida has very good laws about that. And so you're looking at people who are in Florida. We were kind of looking at where they were based in Florida, because my in-laws had a place down there. So we were kind of, you know, the logistic person in me was thinking through like how we could work this out. And then you do like a phone call with them. I remember we did one. I met my wife at like a Walmart parking lot, and we got on speakerphone with this couple from Florida. The woman was a teacher and my wife's a teacher, and they hit it off right away. So it's like that. It's like that connection, you know, it's like you just get a good feeling for them. You're like, these people seem good. Like, what are their intentions? I mean, the money's a part of it, but a lot of times, like, we were lucky that both these people just had really good, like, this is something they wanted to do. They felt that they could do it. So that you kind of like feel it out. And then if you feel like, yeah, we want to move forward with so-and-so, then there's a whole process of like background checks, and they send someone to their house and stuff like that. And then you kind of like, once you get past these different hurdles, then it's like, okay, now we're moving forward with like these next steps. And then you have to go through like the medical part of it. It's like literally like any celebrations you have in the process are so short-lived, because then it's like, okay, the next step is this.
Right. And this could, and something could go wrong in this step that totally derails the whole thing, and you have to start over. Yeah.
It's like the emotions involved are just, they're tough business, man. Like, I would literally, if anyone like is doing surrogacy and wants to like talk through their like things, like, just give me a call, man. Cause it's like, it is hard. You get one win, and the next thing you know, it's like a loss. And then you're like, okay, we got to move forward or bounce back. It's just like a compatibility exercise. You know, what are these people like? And you talk through like, if you go through the process, how often do you want to talk to them? How often do you want to be involved? And then if everything works out perfectly and they have a baby, what does that look like afterwards? Do they want to, like, do you want to have the contact with them and all that stuff? Like, and it's very thought out, and it's tough. And it's like a lot of paperwork, a lot of signing and lawyers. It's a lot. It's a lot.
If you're open to sharing, like, what were some of the lower points or the losses in that process?
So even just like the IVF process, like, you can do the IVF, like the retrieval process and stuff like that, and you might only get 4 viable like winners. But even those like might not last. So then you have to like wait like a week and a half to see how many of yours are going to actually like survive to become then. So then you come away, you're like, okay, we have 3. We have 3 shots. And then you also have to factor in what your insurance is going to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, okay, we're going to do this transfer. Cool. So the person's going to come up from Florida and we're going to do this process. And then they're going to go home and we're just going to keep our fingers crossed and see if it took.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, well, you're supposed to come back up for a next one. That's what I'm saying, where it's like there's a contract involved, but it's like you can't get your hopes up. But, you do this whole process and, Kim does all the shots and you go through all this stuff. And it's like, out of all that, we have 3 shots. It's so many start and stops. And like with our second one, and we're very lucky, like both of our surrogates were just angels, just fantastic people. The second one, like we had like a bad miscarriage. Cause then it's hard because like you feel this guilt of like, we're putting this woman through this.
Right,
like,
right. There's an emotional
Yeah.
and physical component for the person carrying too.
Yeah. So, and then that one was really tough because it's like, oh, well, do we even go for it again? Like, let's just call it. Like, we have one, like, we're playing with house money. We're good. But then she actually was like, cool to try again.
Wow.
So, like, Charlotte, our second daughter, was literally our last shot. We had 1 egg left. We had 1 transfer left with insurance. It was like, let's try. We'd be foolish not to try. I was kind of against it because I was like, we've gone through a lot. We have Emily. Part of me thinks we should just walk away. But then Kim was like, nah, if I would crush me if we walked away knowing we had 1 more shot. But it's the extreme peaks and valleys.
So there's already whatever odds exist just by doing IVF. But then when you're then implanting that into somebody who's not the biological parent, do the odds even swing further, less likely that it is viable because the person who's not carrying it is not biological, or does that not matter?
I don't know. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm like,
are you not a doctor?
I dabble in doctory. That's what I do. I think it's just like, it's such like a delicate science is how I saw it.
Yeah.
In that, like, it could take, it could not. And if it doesn't, like, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason for it. Which then's the most frustrating thing. Because with anything, like, you want, like, concrete. I want to know why. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't happen.
And here's probably an ignorant question, but what reasons would somebody want to become a surrogate?
The common theme for both of ours was that they felt like they had something else to give. They were good with their families, but they felt that, like, I'm healthy. I'm able to, like, have a pregnancy. It breaks my heart that someone can't. So I feel like I can do this. And I remember with the first one, she had some friends that had done it, and it was just like this amazing experience for them. And so she just felt like she could do it. The second one, I feel like she had like 5 kids, and she just was like, I got room for 1 more.
My body is built for this, obviously.
So
I can do this again.
Give it a shot. Yeah, I think
amazing.
that's what it is. I think this idea of like service, on like the most basic level. It's that idea of just like, oh, you can't do this? Like, no, let me give it a shot. I can try.
It's incredibly selfless and really admirable.
And for the whole family too, and it's really crazy. And like I said, we were super lucky. The 2 families that helped us out were just amazing people. And it's just, we got lucky in so many ways.
So here's a couple questions. When you were working with the agency, did they tell you this percentage of people typically stay in touch after the birth and this percentage don't? And then the other side of that is, what's your philosophy on that? Have you maintained relationships?
I feel like they kind of give you like I don't think they give percentages, but they do the thing where like a lot of people kind of don't. Yeah. Or like you say you are, but then you kind of move apart. Yeah, I mean, we met with psychologists too, because there is like a lot of mental toll. Like I think both surrogates will like text my wife on the girls' birthdays, I think we do Christmas cards and stuff like that. But I think it's hard for them, especially like they have families too. And I can't even imagine how confusing it must be.
Yeah.
To see like, oh, mom's pregnant, but it's not of any relation to me whatsoever. And there's resources for them on their side on how to deal with that and stuff like that. And we've talked to the girls too. It's been part of like their, how do you call it, like the birth story. Mm-hmm. You know, like they've seen pictures of the surrogates. Like we're like, oh, this is so-and-so and this is so-and-so. And that's you in their belly right there. And so they get it, you know, and they understand. Like, I don't think our youngest, I don't know what our youngest thinks, to be honest with you. She's a wild card. But like, you know, Emily knows that she was born in Florida, you know, and that's part of why Florida is a special place for us, because like we went down there and that's where we got both of our girls, you know?
Yep. And
they get it, but then also like getting them to understand it's like, no, like you were born this way, but like you're 100% ours. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, like some asshole in my daughter's class, I think tried to say that she was adopted last year. And with all due respect to Tommy, but that kid can fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like,
yes.
And just then you have this conversation like, no, dude, like he's very wrong on this one.
Yeah.
Like, but I also like just people don't understand it. They don't get it. They don't know. Like, it's just, it's a weird, complicated situation, you know, but whatever, it's our situation and we have 2 girls. It's great.
Right. You've got 2 healthy kids. Yeah.
Like I'm very results oriented. So it's like, I don't care how we got to where we got, but this is where we got and it's awesome.
I think in reading the 2 stories that you posted, it was different for each birth, but I only know what it's like being next to my wife when she's giving birth and having the, you know, seeing the baby come out and holding the baby as soon as it comes out. But what, were you were present for both of them?
For the first one, I was.
Yeah.
And that happened quickly. And it was just overwhelming and insane.
Yeah.
And just like crazy. The second one.
That was during COVID.
Yeah. Which I didn't think I was going to be able to be in. But then they called me at the last minute. They're like, no, you can come. But she was having a C-section, so we had to wait until Charlotte came in.
Okay.
So that one was a little different. But yeah, both heavy emotional experiences.
Yeah. I mean, what was it like being there next to Kim to support her through this while she is watching someone else give birth to your baby together? You know, it seems like such an interesting emotional dynamic.
It is. And I think that's where like the relationship part comes into it. Like you're also just hoping that your surrogate's okay.
Yeah.
So you're hoping for like the health of them. You also want to like respect their process. They're doing the birth thing and they've done it in the first case. They've done it twice before. So
when you say their process, you mean like their desires for what they want the atmosphere to be like, and medical interventions and things like that.
Playing music, yeah. So it's like cool. Like you're just there. You're obviously a big part of there, but also like you kind of just want to let them do their thing. Yeah, you know. And then Emily was born, and that was the first one, and it was just like, especially that one. It was just emotional, like avalanche because we had just, I don't know the timeline. I think maybe it was probably 2 years of working towards this. And even just like the drive down, like literally, I think we left like Thursday after school to drive down from Florida. And like the whole time Kim was worried we were going to miss the birth. And I'm like, no, we're good. In the back of my head, I was like, we might not be good, but I'm going to say we're good. Okay.
Gotta be the calming presence.
Yeah. Like I'm driving as fast as I can. And like literally like we got to her parents' house, got dinner. I think I like passed out, and literally like an hour later, she's like, Ryan, we have to go. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we got back in the car, drove back up to Daytona, where she was born. And then like 2 hours later, there's Emily. She's like, just boop, done. So it was like, that one was like a 2.5 day process. It was a culmination of like 2 years. And then you got to think about like what comes afterwards. The whole like, you have to get home. Yeah. Which is in itself tricky. For both girls, it was a different experience.
You mean traveling home with a newborn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even before that, though, I wonder like what. So the baby is born. the surrogate is recovering.
Yeah.
You guys are not, I mean, you're recovering in a lot of ways, but not like physically recovering from giving birth. But, so now you're enjoying the newborn. What's the process that kind of gets you to like saying, all right, well, thanks, see you later, and then, honestly, before you take off?
It's kind of as simple as that, because everyone's really tired.
Did the surrogate in both cases have a spouse or partner there with them too?
Yeah. Yeah. So with Emily, cause this was 2015. So this was the before times with COVID. So it was much more like they stopped by to visit and see the baby and stuff. And it was kind of like, okay, well, we'll be in touch. We'll see you later. And you kind of just two groups of exhausted people going their own way. With Charlotte. Oh, and in both cases, we met up with them before we left, because they were like pumping for us to get breast milk.
Yep.
And then again, it's just like, you give them hugs and you thank them for everything. And you're just like, I'm sure like everyone is like in that first week after your kid's born, like is just like its own special week in your existence.
Yeah.
Where like, you just don't know what time of day it is. You don't know up or down.
Yep.
You don't even really know what happened. You just know your life's different. And like, you're in this like weird, blissful, exhaustive, super stressed out state. And then, so like and then having to like say goodbye and thank this person, knowing like you probably won't see them again. And that's part of the deal. Then you go home.
Isn't that first week when you mentioned being so sleep deprived, and isn't it just like such a weird time? I can't imagine, I mean, unless you're very sick and in the hospital for a long period of time, I can't imagine another situation where just time operates differently like that, like it does in the first week or two of having a newborn. Yeah.
I think what helped me is like, it's like I work in events and stuff like that. So I'm very much like plans and systems and processes and stuff. I think I relied on stuff like that of like, what's our plan? What's our schedule? How we're doing this? Like, I had like a system set up for like cleaning the bottles and all that stuff. I really like fell back on these like routines of stuff like you can just do absent of your brain, But like, yeah, it's a wild experience.
Has Emily, who's now 9, ever expressed interest in meeting her surrogate in person?
No, not that I know of.
When you think about something like adoption, a lot of times at some point in their lives, it crosses their mind like, hey, there's this person out there who gave birth to me, and I have the opportunity to meet them if it's something that I want to pursue. Obviously, this is a lot different because you are her biological parents, but is it something that you would support if down the road she was just curious, as she's sort of getting to know herself more?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if she's interested in it, I mean, I can't, like, I'm not going to say no. Like, I think that's important. But I do think I feel like it would be more something that would happen with Charlotte's surrogate than Emily's, based on the personalities. But I could be wrong. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like, I don't know, if your kid wants to learn more about themselves and everything like that, it's like, cool. Like, so we go to Florida sometimes, like, cause it's an easy vacation. If you want to stop here sometime and see surrogate, like, yeah, we could probably see. I mean, if she's into it.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, is like, they might've closed that book, so she might not be into it. And you kind of have to respect the decision, cause it's a heavy experience for them, just like it was for you.
Do you have any advice or words of wisdom for men in particular who, along with their partners, are exploring surrogacy?
Be patient, be steady is like the big thing. Like I know my role, and like I kind of just kept the train moving. Like I dealt with all the insurance stuff, which sucks to no end. My God, like there was one time I was in a parking lot of a flea market driving an ice cream truck on the phone with insurance for an hour and a half.
Hold on.
Sir,
Why were you? This was for work. This was for a work event that you were driving an ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Or is this like a side gig or what?
No, not a side gig.
Were you wearing a clown nose?
I don't want to get into the details of that. Yes. And I literally, for an hour and a half on the phone with insurance, while our surrogate was at our doctor's appointment, who was saying that this wasn't covered. That was just a Tuesday in the process. Like, I started just walking around. Like, I just had the insurance folder with me at all times. I charted out the process of like, if this happens, I need to call this number. If this happens, I call this number. This is the reference number I need. This is and it was just like, this person's going to say this, they're fucking wrong. So I'm going to counteract with this. Like, and it just was like I've never ending thing. And then like, you got to go through the lawyers, have all the process, and just, this was emotional for me, but I think that paled in comparison to how it was for Kim. And so I knew, I was like, okay, cool. I'm the business part side of this. I'm going to handle all this shit. I'm going to be here. Like, and I think it's this idea of being like steady and just patient and just like down to do the heavy lifting. One morning I literally drove to Philly, which is like an hour and a half from us, because we were missing just one medication that we needed for that day. So like, I got in the car, drove down to Philly, met the nurse outside the hospital. This was on a Sunday morning. And she like handed it to me. She's like, okay, have a good day. And then I turned around and like drove home.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, cool. Cause that's what you have to do.
Absolutely.
Like, you just like, you don't think about things too much. You just do it.
That's great advice. And like I said, we'll link to your blog and people can get in touch with you through that if they want to, right? If they have questions. I'm assuming that your offer is genuine to chat with anybody about this stuff, but I don't want to sign you up for.
You've known me for a long time. I am nothing but a very genuine person. I'll talk. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, you want to be a resource. All I can say is like, just do the research. Know if like you need a lawyer. What do you need a lawyer for? Get a recommendation for a lawyer who understands what you're asking.
I'm assuming that you need a lawyer for the contractual portion of it.
The big one is like in Florida, you need like a birth order that basically like certifies that your surrogate is pregnant, but it's your baby.
Okay.
So that once that baby is born, it's yours. There's no waiting period. With some states, there's like a weird like 24-hour waiting period, which then that's when things can get a little squirrely. So that's why Florida was good. I don't know if they still are. Who knows? Florida. And then, so as soon as the baby's born, then you can get that process going of getting their birth certificate. I just remember I had it ready to go. As soon as both girls were born, I emailed our lawyer from like the hospital, like, we're good. Oh, by the way, it's a girl. Yeah, look at this. But like, hey man, next step, let's go. And then you just keep on going. But like, yeah, I mean, there's like a whole process with the surrogate, like the payment schedule and all that stuff. And you just want to like cross your T's and dot your I's.
It's always interesting to me when people like enter this thing, like everybody's entering this situation in good faith. Like we all are working towards the same conclusion and we're all on the same team. But then you still have to have this like very structured legal document that outlines what happens, if anything goes haywire. It's smart. I mean, you have to do it, but it's like we have a pretty good feel for one another, and this is a pretty serious thing that we're entering into together. Like,
yeah,
nothing should go wrong.
Yeah,
and just because you brought it up a couple times, the payment structure. So I'm not interested in what it costs, but I am interested in how that's determined. So is that something where the agency sets sort of guidelines for that? Or is that something where anybody who is willing to be a surrogate kind of names their price and you can negotiate terms around that?
I mean, I'm sure it's different for everyone. For us, like our agency kind of controlled that conversation. Yeah. Then it's just basically broken up into installments.
Yeah.
You're signing installment and then like the transfer, and then it breaks into like every month. And then so basically you dump all your money into like escrow. And so they had someone that was like, okay, you're approved for this payment, which is nice because then you're not actually passing money back and forth.
Right.
The agency we worked with, Reproductive Possibilities in New Jersey, awesome. they we had a case manager navigating all that stuff. If I had questions about certain things, like they had a lawyer who helped me with stuff. Like I talked to that woman, I think her name was Pam, so many times. And it's just like having that built-in resource was fantastic. It was like, they helped. I mean, it's like a miracle, you know, like my father-in-law is so fun. Like he will still look at both girls with this look and he's just like little miracles. And he's a man of few words. Like obviously every kid is a miracle and it's all beautiful. Like, but like it's pretty freaking special what we got. And it's like, you think about that a lot. Like when we're just like, we were at the beach yesterday, just seeing the girls play and you're just like, shit, man. You get these moments where you're just like, or then it's like, you joke, like, you feel like you pulled off a heist. Like, you're like, we did it. You know, a little fist bump. Like we pulled it off.
Right. And now can you imagine not having pursued that?
No.
It's been so awesome to catch up with you on this, and thanks for being an open book about it and entertaining my dumb questions. But
no problem.
I'm so glad that it worked out the way that it did for you and Kim, and that you've got two happy, healthy kids. It's incredible.
Nah, man, it's good shit.
It's good shit.
It's good shit.
And that's the title of the episode.
There you go. There you go.
Dads and moms listening, I will include a link in the episode notes, but check out giddyyupamerica.com. That's Ryan's blog, which it really has been updating consistently for years. There's tons of content on there. I'm sorry that it's been so long since we've caught up, but I'm really grateful that we had this time to chat.
Definitely, man. You're one of the best, dude.
I've got a recurring segment, Mark.
You what?
I do. I've got one.
Oh, this makes me feel giddy.
It's a kisses and disses, man.
Oh, is it? Oh, sweet. Why don't you play the music? Why don't you play the intro?
Kisses and disses. Disses are bad. Kisses are good. You can hear both in Modern Dadhood.
All right, so this segment, for listeners who don't know it, is called Kisses and Disses. And how it works is we choose a positive review from our Apple Podcast reviews. We read that and celebrate the kind things that the listener says. But then to bring ourselves back down to earth and ensure that our egos aren't totally overinflated, we read a negative review. And that kind of neutralizes things.
Yeah. It's kind of a good feeling. It's a little bit like whiplash.
That's right. So I'm going to go ahead and read our positive review from Apple Podcasts, which was a 5-star review.
Wow.
From someone named Chemical Red. The title of the review was, quote, fun, relaxed, and informative. And here is what Chemical Red said. They said, I really enjoy this podcast. The guys always make me laugh as well as make me feel more informed and confident in my instincts as a dad. The brevity they bring to being a modern dad, I think that they mean the levity. The brevity that they bring to being a modern dad, which we all know can be a very heavy burden sometimes, is a welcome respite from my life. So I'm always looking forward to the next show. Definitely worth a listen.
Wow.
5 stars.
Wow. Chemical Red. That's more than we could ever hope for.
I'm floating on cloud 9 right now.
Listen, I'm going to bring us right back down, maybe even a little lower than we were before.
Oof.
Because I have a diss from a person whose name is Naysayer96. It begins with WTAF.
It's a little aggressive.
Yes, it's aggressive. They go on to say, I heard the Surgeon General on the Smart List podcast, and Will Arnett was way funnier than these dinks, but otherwise pretty okay parenting show. And they took the time to click 2 stars for us. Naysayer 96.
I wish we could do something to fix this for naysayer 96.
We can just keep trying our best, Adam.
That's all we can do.
Modern Dadhood cannot in good conscience guarantee the authenticity of negative reviews read aloud in the Kisses and Disses segment.
Let's do the thing where you close out the episode really fast.
Wait, I got this. I got it. Well, thanks for listening to Modern Dadhood. Don't forget, wherever you listen, be it Apple Podcasts or Spotify, perhaps even maybe Hark Audio. I'd like to think some of our listeners have come over to Hark Audio after your glowing reviews.
I hope so. I'm still enjoying it thoroughly.
One of these days, I'll check it out. Wherever you listen, please subscribe to the show, leave a rating, leave a review. It would make us very happy. As we said at the top of the show, please tell a friend. In fact, consider this a challenge. I challenge you to tell a friend about the show.
This weekend, when you're standing on the sidelines of a soccer field,
Just
throw an
seething,
elbow into the person next to you and say, "Hey, got something you're gonna love."
just seething over how poorly your child is playing, how many missed goal opportunities there have been. Take a break from that. Talk to a friend about the show. Let's see. Visit Modern Dadhood on the internet at moderndadhood.com, where you can find our back catalog of all of our episodes, including some of my favorites. I'll mention it every time. We interviewed an astronaut once. His name's Captain Winston E. Scott, and that was a cool conversation.
That was a special one.
Check those out. While you're there, swing by the shop, man. Get yourself a Modern Dad hoodie or a t-shirt. All orders ship with a sticker.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of them. We're on all of them. Just find us.
Just find us out there, would you? You can email us at hey, H-E-Y, at moderndadhood.com. Write in. Here's another challenge. Gosh darn it. Send us a topic idea. There's things we haven't touched on. There's types of dads we haven't discussed. There's types of families we haven't talked about. What are you waiting for? Email us.
Thank you to Casper Babypants and Spencer Albee for the music that is heard throughout the show. Thank you to Ryan O'Connell for talking about his and his wife Kim's experience, or two experiences, with IVF and surrogacy.
And thank you to Dave Grohl for ruining
for adultery
his reputation as the nicest guy in rock and roll.
Bad boy Dave.
And finally, thank you for listening.